All right. So welcome once again to the West Coast MBA programs event here with Clear Admit. I'm once again Mike from Clear Admit. We'll get into more things about what we do a little bit later in today's session. But first, we'll start to introduce our panelists, starting with Rebecca Mallen-Churchill, Senior Director of Recruitment, Admission, and Financial Services at Arizona State's W.P. Carey School of Business.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to see the representation from all across the globe. Yes, I'm joining you from finally a little bit cooler Tempe, Arizona. So the bad weather is over and the reason we all live here has started. I am latte'd and watered up and ready to go and really excited to spend some time with all of you.
There you go. And we're happy that you're here and latte'd and watered up. That was actually my combination as well this morning. So very good stuff. Next up, we'll meet Cindy Millette, Director of Admissions for the full-time MBA at Berkeley Haas.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see everybody today. I'm excited to be here to share more information about Berkeley Haas. It is actually, the weather went to fall and now it's summer again today. So it's going to be a high of 78 today. So I'm excited about the summer being back, actually.
Very cool stuff. Yeah. See, I don't have the same thing going on my end here, but I will let that go. I don't want to disappoint anybody. Next up, we have Nancy Pistol, Senior MBA Admissions Counselor at Stanford GSB.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yes, I'm with Cindy. It's been a beautiful week in the San Francisco Bay Area. Like Cindy, I could almost wave to you that it was so clear across the bay. No fog, and it's just been yeah, this is a gorgeous time of year in the Bay Area as well. So great to be here today. Share a bit about, an MBA education, answer some of your questions along the way. Yeah, so thanks for inviting us, Michael.
Yeah, no, we're very happy to have you here as well. Next up, we have Lindsay Haberman, Associate Director of Recruitment and Admissions for the full-time MBA, UC Irvine Merage School of Business.
Yeah, thank you so much. Super excited to be here. Again, it's, as someone said earlier, it's heating up. It's going to be like 85 here in Southern California. I was just wearing a sweater last week and now shorts are back. So really good time though in the weather. I love fall, even though we have a tad fall, but cooler for sure, but really excited to talk more about UC Irvine and all the great things happening over here. So thank you so much.
Very nice. Yeah, all good weather stuff. I gotta start making some winter plans. We should do these in person next time so I can get out of my gloomy weather that I have outside of my window. And last but not least, we have Tom Pariso, Senior Manager of Marketing and Strategy for the full-time MBA at UCLA Anderson.
Yeah, hi everyone. Excited to be joining you all. Excited to have conversations that do not include the Dodgers for the first time all week. Everyone here is excited about baseball, so it'll be fun to talk about a little different stuff right here.
There you go. Yes, another big game last night. Another one tonight, I believe, right? Is game five.
Indeed.
So
Yep.
pivotal game. We'll see what happens in that series. Definitely been exciting so far, especially the one that bled into the second day. Yeah, pretty wild stuff. So, awesome. So, welcome to today's event. If this is your first event of this series, this is day 5 of a 6-day series where we are traveling around North America, meeting with business schools and talking about their deeper connections to the regions that they're based in. So, kind of a different way to approach researching and learning about MBA programs. Obviously, there's the easy, rankings list that you can look at, which just kind of lists schools 1 to 10, but is that really telling you what your experience will be in the program? Probably not, right? So the purpose of this event series is to really explore how each of these programs will offer different experiences and opportunities to you as a student, as an alum, as a postgraduate. So we'll get into that as we get through the session today. And as we've done all week, we want to start with a question for all of our panelists, which is really just about the region in general, right? So you're all based in what we've kind of labeled West Coast. I know, Rebecca, we're kind of cheating a bit, so we've now expanded this a little bit to say out west, right? So to be totally fair, but a lot of this still holds true, right? So between media, entertainment, the climate, which we've already mentioned a few times, the tech scene, nature, just all types of really cool attributes about being out west. what, in your opinion, makes studying out West so great? And then on the flip side, if I were to choose one of your schools, am I then landlocked to then live there post MBA, or are there opportunities for me to leave that region at the conclusion of the program? So we'll have all five of you respond. Sorry, Tom, you're going to end up having to be really, really creative here as number five here answering. So Rebecca, lead us off and take us through your thoughts.
Thanks so much, Mike. And yes, as the only non-California school here, I will speak from a non-coastal perspective, but yes, from a Western perspective. But in Arizona, I think we're known kind of for that mentality that you mentioned, come west, young man, that maverick type of mentality. Here's where you come to do new things. And that is definitely the case in Arizona. ASU itself has just celebrated our 11th year in a row of being ranked the most innovative university in the country. And so that you feel very much within our region. Why come here are for all of those reasons. I mean, the climate is, it's not New Jersey right now. It's definitely really nice outside. Talk to us also in January when our students are kind of laying by the pool and then talking to their friends out east who are shoveling snow. But really, I think it is that mentality of growth. Tech is a huge piece. TSMC, largest semiconductor manufacturer in the world, has just put in a multi-billion-dollar investment in the Phoenix area. And so that continues to grow the tech landscape here, as well as supply chain management, which is what we're known for at ASU. To comment as well, no, you are not required to stay in the Phoenix area after graduation. I think a lot of people decide to do so because they realize that the cost of living is quite a bit less expensive, that it is just really beautiful in the desert, and that it's still, as the 5th largest city, easy to get around. But we have students who go up to where my colleagues are in the Bay Area, in Southern California, all across the West Coast, as well as throughout the entire US and oftentimes globally as well. So that's the benefit, again, of being a part of a school that has an alumni base of over 100,000, is you do not need to be locked here in Arizona, even though it's not a bad place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how even your, leaving the Arizona as a state, right? You could still be out west and changing your living situation, changing where your options for post MBA job opportunities. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Cindy, we'll take it over to you. What are your thoughts?
Yes. So San Francisco Bay Area, a wonderful place to live and so many opportunities. I think that's the number one thing. It's a really rich and diverse economy here on the West Coast, innovative. There are 40 Fortune 500s in the Bay Area alone, and it includes big players in all different industries. So finance, banking, fintech, biotech, healthcare, you name it. Businesses like Apple, Alphabet, Google, eBay, Wells Fargo, Clorox, Salesforce. We also have deep connections throughout these ecosystems that translate into opportunities for students. I also am a Bay Area native myself, so I've lived here my entire life. Through this job, I've actually had the opportunity to visit a lot of beautiful places, but I always love coming back here to the Bay Area. What I love about it is really the nature around every corner. You can go an hour to the beach, like San Francisco Bay. You could go to the wine region to go wine tasting. You can go a few hours to go to Lake Tahoe and you go skiing. So you can head up the hill at Haas and you're in Tilden National Park. I was just there yesterday dropping my son off to play golf. So it's a beautiful area. And then I just think the proximity to all of the leaders that are innovative in the Bay Area that can come to campus and give talks and help our students. Beyond that, California is the world's 4th largest economy. So lots of stuff going on here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, lots of really great things. Thanks for highlighting a lot of them. That's awesome stuff. Nancy, I know similar local region there, but any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to build off of what Cindy said. There are such a wide variety of industries and large companies down to very, very small startups here in the Bay Area. But let's answering the question on what makes studying out in the West so good, in your opinion. So if I'm building off like this, the weather is generally just awesome year around here. It's never too hot or too cold, which means we can spend a lot of time outdoors, and that gets people out of their little small study spaces. It gets faculty out of their offices. And you will find here, especially at Stanford, you will, spend a lot of time. If you've got office hours with your professor, you might be having it, on a bench underneath a shade tree in January, which is wintertime here. And I think this opportunity to, get out of your little space just helps organic conversations. It can take you further in connections. It can be easier to be creative when you're in these kinds of spaces. And then I think you had a second question in there about, are we going to be regionally locked here? And I would like to say that, the Bay Area in the West is kind of known like this maverick business, this ideation of how you show up in business. Entrepreneurship, is well known out in the West. And I would say that that is almost more of a mindset than it is an actual geolocation. And I think that the opportunities to kind of tune in to this way of thinking and doing business is something that can take you anywhere you want to go in the world. So that's how I would answer that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you for that. And so, Lindsay, we'll head down to you now, a little more downstate here, still on the coastline. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of things everybody has said, obviously opportunity. I mean, there's so much opportunity. I mean, industry specific as well. I mean, there's something that everybody's looking for in California. I think there's just that great reach. But I'm going to take kind of more on the diversity and culture side. I feel like I love being on the West Coast just because of just our diverse culture. I mean, we have so many little pockets of, different countries represented in Irvine. I mean, if you want to go and get some like really traditional Korean food, Indian food, I mean, they're there. I mean, the culture is really awesome. I think, California in general has this very diverse, rich community, which I absolutely love. So that to me has always been a really, a good thing that I think a lot of students find when they get here. They're like, wow, like there is so many different types of, people represented. And then also, yeah, I mean, the weather is another, it has to be, talked about. I think as Nancy said, I mean, it's a safe environment, outdoors, you can, go to the beach one day, go to the mountains the next. I mean, you kind of have the best of all worlds here. So I think that makes for our students having that kind of, good place to study and learn. And yeah, I mean, those are just some of the things I think I wanted to highlight as well as what everybody else said. Being regionally locked, definitely not. I mean, I think, people come to study in California and they do end up wanting to stay once they get here. I think that's always kind of a driver. But do students leave? Yes. I mean, they go where the opportunity is. If that's in another state, I mean, that's, kind of what they do. But I do find that once people get here, they kind of start to experience what it's like, and they really do want to stay at the end of the day. And so that's kind of where they continue on building their network and, kind of looking for jobs. So yeah, I mean, definitely a great place to be for sure.
Yeah, I like how the first question, right? It's like, it's so great. And then why do you want to leave? So it does make sense that maybe more people do look to stay. Tom, being fifth, I warned you it's going to be tough here. So anything else that hasn't been said that you want to add here in this portion?
Yeah, well, I agree. The West Coast is amazing. California is fantastic. Being that we're at UCLA, I think I'll focus on the Los Angeles area. LA is an amazing place culturally. We do have all of the great things that people know about it. You can go on a studio tour, you can go to Disneyland, you can go to the beach. You can go skiing all in the same day, although you might not hit a lot of rides at Disneyland if you do it like that. There are a lot of options though. And then, Silicon Valley is great, but we have Silicon Beach down here. All the same top tech companies have big, beautiful new offices on the west side in Los Angeles. And aside from tech, there are top companies in entertainment, healthcare, finance, a lot of other industries. So really, the possibilities in LA are really up to what you want to make of them. There's definitely a lot of options out here and a lot of things to pursue. So on the flip side, about half of our graduates do stay in the Southern California area. But Los Angeles is a great portal to, pretty much anywhere you want to go. We do place a lot in Asia, as well as, Europe, and other places, around the globe. Domestically, we do have about 20% of our class heads to NorCal. Um, and then I think about 10% of our class heads to the East Coast and the Mid-Atlantic states, New York and Philly and Boston and everything. So really, there's a lot of options. The UCLA network is strong. The brand is known, around the globe. So definitely not locked in LA, but if you are going to these places, there are a lot worse places you can do than over here by the beach.
Yeah, I know. Y'all keep rubbing it in. I got gloomy skies. I need a jacket today and all that stuff. But hey, we're all doing okay. So no, I appreciate you all starting off with those questions. It is nice to kind of just get introduced to the region for folks who aren't as familiar or who haven't gotten a chance to go there on their own. So thank you for pointing out all those awesome things. This next portion is about each of your programs individually, and we'll go school by school. And the goal here is to really just tie your program to the region, which I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the session here. So we'll start with Rebecca with Arizona State. What we want you to do here is basically introduce us to an aspect of your program that could be an experiential learning opportunity, a club or an organization that does some cool things in the region. Really just anything that you can think of that connects, your program to whether it's Tempe, Phoenix, Arizona, the larger West area, whatever makes sense to you. So take us through it and love to hear about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I loved this question so much, and it was really hard to narrow down one aspect, but I did it. So I will talk for just a few minutes about our Executive Connections program, because what I think is really incredible here is that a lot of people, when you think about Arizona, at least if you have knowledge of Arizona and the Phoenix area, is maybe, oh yeah, Sadie, go Devils, woohoo, is maybe to know that this is a really great destination for retirees. And so one of the things that we launched, now it's been almost 13 years ago, was our Executive Connections program. And it was spearheaded by our dean at the time, who really had an incredible network of leaders and CEOs across Fortune 500 companies in the US. And so she said, hey, if you're going to be in Scottsdale or in Phoenix for golf, or if you've got a second home here in the Arizona area, what do you think about being a part of this mentorship program where you're able to, kind of mentor our full-time MBA students? And so that was the birth of our Executive Connections program, which has really turned into one of the key differentiators of the W.P. Carey MBA, and continues to be so meaningful for our students and for our mentors as well. So we now currently have an incredible Executive Connections program where it is completely volunteer based, but individuals who are either currently holding C-level suite positions or C-suite level positions, or maybe even recently retired from C-suite level positions, volunteer their time to go through a structured mentorship process with every single one of our students. So every student gets a C-suite level mentor coach. There is pieces that are built in as far as connecting with your coach, but you also have multiple opportunities throughout the program to get to know the entire suite of coaches. It's actually kind of funny how we match them. It's almost like speed dating. You get to meet every single coach, and you create relationships with these incredible individuals who really open up their networks. And we've seen really, really great career success stories as a result of our Executive Connections program. My favorite part too is that our mentors continuously come back and tell us how much they get from their mentees and from just meeting kind of the next generation of business leaders. We had last year for our admitted student weekend, we had our alumni speaker who was at Clorox, interestingly enough, in the Bay Area. But she came back and her coach got wind that she was coming back, and he reached out and said, "Do you mind if I surprise her?" And he surprised her. They talked about their relationship. Everyone was in tears. So this is an absolutely incredible highlight of our program. If you're interested in WP Carey, come also ask me about the interdisciplinary learning. Ask me about the fact that all of our students receive full tuition scholarships. There's so much I could talk about, but really kind of tying to the area is executive connections for sure. And it's something that we're incredibly, incredibly proud of. So thanks for letting me wax philosophical about that for a moment.
No, absolutely. And I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity, one, to get that kind of a mentorship and learn from somebody who has that experience, but also, I mean, some soft skills, right? Like if you have to go out and kind of win over one of these mentors, you're learning about networking, you're learning about how to approach these folks. I mean, it's kind of like a little mini career development class at the same time. It sounds like, at least, and I don't want to misread it, but it seems like to choose one of these mentors and go out and speak to them all and give your elevator pitch of why they should pick you. It's kind of a nice little neat exercise for your students.
Yeah, and it starts like the first couple weeks of the program. So you have that relationship with them for the entire duration. And 95% of the mentor-mentee relationships continue on far past graduation.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So the other thing in this section of the event that we want to do is follow up with each school with a little bit of an admissions tip type of a question. So we take these questions from things we see on our site or other forums that are out there, just kind of FAQ or Mythbuster types of things that are kind of frequently asked about. So within your application process, there's an essay that asks for the top 3 life moments from your applicants, which just kind of sounds like a great way to get to know those applicants. So what advice would you give to somebody who's just sitting down to think about a response to that? And if you could explain what that actually means, right? I'm summarizing it, top 3 life moments. What is that prompt and what can people do to fill it out properly?
For sure. And you're pretty close to what it exactly is. It's the question asks, if you were to highlight the top 3 moments of your life that have, prepared you for an MBA, what would they be? And the thing is that our program is much, much smaller than a lot of top MBA programs. We have typically between 45 to 60 individuals who start the program each year. And then our ethos and our motto and what's printed on t-shirts and coffee cups, but what really drives every single one of us at WP Carey is this idea that business is personal. And so we really, really do want to know who you are and what is your motivator. What are the types of things and values and benefits that you'll bring to the cohort of students? So the advice that I would give as you sit down to talk about what are your top 3 life moments, don't overthink it. Really, I mean, there's not any sort of secret answer that we're hoping for. There are multiple times that I'll read a response to that and I can tell that someone said someone asked a prompt of what should I be saying here? What are they looking for? But honestly, what we're really looking for is who are you? What makes you tick as a person? We've gotten really lovely responses from that about, struggles that someone had as a elementary school student to when they proposed to their spouse, to when they traveled the world, to getting a huge promotion at work. All of those are right answers. So I think the key is do not overthink it, because so much of us in the graduate management education space talk about valuing authenticity and who you are. It serves you so well throughout your time as an MBA student, but also throughout your career and your life in general. So again, don't overthink it. Think about the things that really have molded you to be the person who you are now, who's ready to take this step into an immersive MBA program. And what are they? And then if you can tie them in, that really helps tell the story of who you are, which again is a really key point of fitting with the cohort here at WP Carey.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? Represent yourself, introduce yourself to the committee. It's a lot about the person, right? It's the humanization of that person. It's not what ChatGPT pulls off your resume and says, make sure you use one of these 3 things. Like, no. Think about it yourself, put your own best foot forward, and introduce yourself to the committee. So yeah, awesome. I appreciate that advice there. And now we will shift a little more west out to Cindy in the Bay Area. Cindy, if you can do the same thing, kind of take us through some of your program's connections to the region.
Yes, similarly to Rebecca, it's hard to narrow down to one ways that people are able to connect with the region. We do offer a number of experiential learning opportunities focused on consulting projects in the Bay Area, but I wanted to highlight something that I think is a bit more unique. It's called Berkeley Board Fellows, and it's where students are placed on the board of a local nonprofit. They attend board meetings. They also complete a strategic project with the board. They complete a nonprofit board governance course in order to kind of learn the knowledge around these concepts. And the idea behind it is not just, to get that experience, but knowing that these are going to be leaders out in the world that need to learn these things, because eventually they will be leaders that are going to give back and support local nonprofits. So it's not everyone going into nonprofit who are going to be interested in this. And I know even one of my former colleagues who worked in admissions, who was an alum, continued to work with that nonprofit that she worked with when she was at Haas. So it's a really unique opportunity to make impact to these organizations in the Bay Area. So we've seen students participate in organizations like Junior Achievement, Oakland Public Education Fund, Breast Cancer Prevention Partners, San Francisco Bicycle Coalition, and the Berkeley Food Network. So a lot of ways to give back, which is an important part of our culture at Berkeley, to go beyond yourself. And if you don't mind, I would like to note one specific thing that is actually a competition between UC Berkeley and Stanford, which is called the Golden Shovel Challenge, which has been taking place for over 30 years. And that's where a team of 5 students get a plot of land, an actual site, and they work on designing and financing and marketing of a commercial and real estate project. And then the award goes to the person who gets the golden shovel. But I just wanted to add that because it's interesting that we have someone from Stanford on the line too. So I thought that would be an interesting way that also we talk about the Bay Area and working together.
I love that. And I think working with these like nonprofit boards, if you haven't had exposure to that life and to that type of working and that type of environment, there's a lot you can learn from that, and then bring some of those ideas and tips back to, what people would say is kind of like the normal way of working, right? But I mean, nonprofit, there's a whole different set of objectives. There's a whole different budget that you're dealing with, and you're behind a cause for the most part, which is awesome. So that's really cool exposure to those types of organizations. For your follow-up question, and this is off of what has been a little bit of a shift for this question the question's been there for a while, but this year, the What Makes You Feel Alive essay, oops, I said it already, right? It's not an essay, it's now a video response. So for folks who are looking to talk about career goals and business accomplishments and all that types of stuff, what prompts your team to ask this question? How can you form a response? And how have the videos been going so far? It's the new component here.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think this is the number one question that I got on the road for people saying, why did you do this? And what is this all about? Because we have had the same prompt for a long time. We love the prompt, similar to what Rebecca was saying about being genuine and authentic and kind of learning a little bit more about you. That's really the impetus behind it. We enjoyed the narrative answer to the question. And so we have had a video essay, which was more focused on our defining leadership principles, but wanted to go a little bit deeper as to people's own motivations and passions. And so decided we would use this question we really like in the video format to replace that other question. And so first of all, for tips, I would say, make sure you answer the prompt directly. So it is going to be an action that you do. What makes you feel alive when you're doing it and why? So we should be very clear about what that is when you respond. I also like what Rebecca said in thinking about the first thing that comes to mind and being really authentic in your response to that. Secondly, I'd say that, your story, your own unique story is your superpower that's unique to you. And so that's why the why is very important behind the answer that you provide. For the criteria in looking at the video essays, we are looking at your communication skills. Obviously, I would suggest not reading from a script. Definitely have your response, practice it. But I have seen people read from a script and it's not as authentic as really talking through the answer to your question. And then, again, I would say practice and make sure that you know your response, but try to make it as authentic as you possibly can. Last thing I would say is it is kind of the end result of, we think of this as the end result of your application. So it's doesn't have to be professional. It can be personal. And I would say most of the time, what makes you feel alive is more personal. And so it is the last thing that we ask that you provide to us in the application. So, yeah.
Very helpful tips. And yeah, another way to kind of humanize each of the applicants and have something else jump off the page, but in this case, jump into a video, which is great. So personality can be shown, and I'm sure it doesn't have to be Hollywood production quality, right? Yeah, just
just make sure your background is, okay, and no video production needed.
there you go. Awesome stuff. Okay, so thank you so much for that. We'll head across the bay here, or not even across the bay, but just kind of down the block, I guess, over to Stanford and talk to Nancy. What are your connections? And do you want to respond to this golden shovel? Like who's winning this thing lately? Like, is there like a streak of 5 in a row for one of you? Like, I don't know.
I
Like,
actually
I don't want
don't
to start a
know.
fight, but I want to know more.
I know there are a lot of these great friendly competitions. There's also one between the law schools that, of course, that a lot of business students at Haas and at GSB take. So yeah, there's some great opportunities on that. But I don't know who's ahead on that one right now. Maybe Cindy does.
I tried to research it.
Yeah. Okay. Someone's keeping tabs out there on that. I'd say, over here at Stanford GSB is ways that kind of tie us into the region and help us keep a pulse on things is this opportunity to take some very experiential classes where you're going to spend part of the time on campus in the classroom with your classmates and your professors and faculty, and part of your time during that particular course where you're actually out there in industry and you're going to some local organizations, your boots on the ground right there helping with some of their real world problems. There are opportunities to kind of go in different directions on these experiential courses. There is a lab that is out there tackling homelessness in California, and kind of tangential to that is affordable housing as well on that. There are also labs, these experiential classes that can dive into the financial challenges that are facing the local area and cities here around the country, where you're working with local financial institutions, state legislatures on that as well. There are opportunities to get in on what's happening with product management. How is digital marketing kind of coming into play with businesses? Then there are also another popular class is called the Founder's Right Hand. And this is that opportunity where you're going from inspiration to launch. And how do you find those high potential founders and how do you turn these into actual ventures? So again, there are different courses on this, and you get to work very closely with a professor outside of the classroom as well on that. And I also wanted to say that, Stanford University and the GSB here, we are one of 7 schools at the university. And this university is a research institute as well as a teaching institute. So you get to benefit from both of those disciplines here as a student. So you can go in very deeply on your own research initiatives or join other ones that are, in full swing here on campus.
Very nice stuff. And we have a question in the chat that is about what that last activity was called. I think you said, was Founder's Right Hand, that last class?
Yes, I have
Okay.
the Founder's Right Hand.
Founder's Right Hand. Just wanted to make sure we got
Yeah,
that. Yep,
from
there you go. Okay.
inspiration to launch. I can throw a link up in chat for that.
So there you go. Sounds like some Yeah, really great opportunities there. So much so that we want to make sure we look it up further. So there you go. We'll get that to you in chat. And Nancy, I don't want to ask while you're searching for something, but your follow-up question here. And for those who are listening to each of these follow-ups, we're kind of developing a little bit of a theme here. So your main essay, the what matters most to you and why prompt. It could seem daunting, right? Because some applicants may think it's a little more philosophical, right? Because it's what matters most to you, and it could be pretty scary to answer. So how do you recommend that applicants can kind of get themselves ready to answer that question?
Yeah. Everyone understands what the question is asking, like we know what the words mean, but it's not a question that we get asked regularly growing up. And we aren't out there, asking us questions in our friends and family groups. So it can be a new question to answer for yourself. And I will say this, just kind of a tip to get started on this is just know that this is based on your lived experience from the time that you were a little kid all the way up to where you are presently. So this question, you've actually been living the answer. And if you take the time to spend some time with yourself in deep self-reflection, kind of looking across the things that have kind of garnered your interest, piqued your curiosity, and follow that trail through some of the things that you've engaged in life. And this can go into any domain. This can be part of your personal life, your family life, your social life. It could be where you wound up doing well and enjoying the classes that you studied in secondary school or primary school. Where did you wind up, majoring in college? Where did you want to go get that job? Where have you been spending your time? As you start to kind of self-reflect and look back over your life, and the things that you've been involved in, somewhere in that space, you will start to get to the heart of that answer for yourself. Oh yeah, I'm starting to understand what are some of the things that matter to me because I'm spending all my time doing these things. And I keep pursuing opportunities through college and through work and through social groups of where I might be volunteering and spending my time. So just know that you've got that lived experience already inside your memories, and it's a matter of having that conversation with yourself. And eventually you will find out it'll just start to naturally flow. Most of our students will say that at some point they kept writing down answers to this question, and then they walk away from it, and come back to it and maybe try to answer it each night before they go to bed, or they'd start their day answering that question and jotting down a few phrases or a few words. And then the more time that they come back to that question, and answer it and then answer it again and ask themselves again and answer it, you start to get a richer, more full vision of what this answer means to you personally. So it takes time for most people. We're not used to doing this type of self-reflective, self-awareness work. So give yourself some time to work on that question, and eventually you're going to realize, oh yeah, this is it, and it'll be very easy to write that essay at some point, and you will probably wind up quickly dropping out 10, 12 pages, and then from there it's a matter of honing down and concising your storytelling skills on that. I would also say that we have done a number of workshops specifically on how to tackle this essay. We've recorded them in the past, and they do live on the Stanford GSB YouTube channel for our department. So I encourage you to kind of go back and look at some of those recordings if you find yourself, with writer's block and you're staring at a blank screen because you just can't get started on that. So we've got ways to kind of help you through these workshop recordings as well.
Awesome. No, thank you for all those tips. I mean, that's exactly what you have to do, right? Just kind of be more self-reflective, take your time, And it'll come to you, right? Just like every other piece of the application eventually will come to you and it'll make sense. So
Yeah.
that's awesome advice. Thank you, Nancy, for all of that. And we will now move to Lindsay at UC Irvine. If you can take us through your program's connections.
Yeah, so I think one of the great things about Merage, we are a smaller class size. I think somebody mentioned that earlier. So our career team really is invested in our students. And so I think something that they do that's really special is, they want to bring students to these companies. We're all talking about these opportunities, all these great companies that are in California. And all of our alumni connections throughout all of these companies. And so our career team, we have an employee relations team within our career team who kind of forms, a lot of these relationships with these companies, follows our alumni, and they have hosted several, we like treks over here. So one of the treks we do is a tech trek. It was in Bay Area for a while, but this past year we moved up a little further and we went into Seattle, and we did a tech trek there where we took students interested in tech up there. We hit all the big companies, Microsoft, all the big companies that are there. And our students got to really interact with our alumni that are in those areas and really form those connections. The others, because that's obviously a big strength, I would say, for our program. And then the second is more of the healthcare, biotech, pharmaceutical. There are so many companies in our backyard. That is a huge strength for our school. And we have now created a healthcare track where we take students that are looking at these companies. Abbott, J&J, Medtronics, Edwards Life Sciences. The list goes on. We have a very strong tie to healthcare. And so they take students there and get that, again, connection to the company, to our alums, and really forming those really, really strong connections, I think are super important for our students to get them out there and looking at these opportunities. But again, it connects us to our alumni and our great alumni network that are so generous of, wanting to always kind of host our students, talk to our students. So, I think all of those things together have really tied into these tracks that have been just so beneficial for our students. And I know they're definitely a highlight. Students, are right away kind of put in. The Seattle trek happened basically in week 0 of the program. So they were out there, they were already interacting with our alumni, with companies. But our career team really does an amazing job of kind of preparing them in the summer. We do a lot of prep over the summer as well to help students. But I think, for us, it's like that is, company connections, where we're located, all the great companies that are here, we want to get our students there. And that's a selling point for us. And just to make sure our students get that face-to-face is super important. Being a small class size, we've got to go and take students to the opportunities. But again, I think it's just the career team, their personalization, their focus on really, high level advising they do for our students. It's something I haven't seen. I think what they do for our student population is very unique for our program. And it is a selling point to me for sure. But again, I think, the company connections, the alumni network, getting students to where they need to be, obviously in very targeted industries that we have very, very strong ties in, really help our students and help that experience for them. So yeah, I think those two things to me stand out about, just kind of those extras that you will get as a student at Merage.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think the fact that you're able to bring the current students to meet with the alumni at those companies, you're kind of showing that that's your path, right? Like here's day one for you, and you're going to go meet with alums at these large companies. And 2 years from now, like that could be you. You could be sitting in the same seat. So it's awesome that you can make those connections right off the bat. For your follow-up, it is about your video prompt, which asks applicants within a minute to introduce themselves to the admissions committee, talking about their background experience as it would relate to their short-term goals. So it's kind of taking that what do you want to do post MBA into a video component. So should all 60 seconds be devoted towards the goals, or should the introduce yourself portion be more of the focus here? Like, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I love this. So a couple years ago, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we will all say we read a lot of applications, right? And it was always like, okay, how can we get to know our students a little bit better, right? We're a small class size, as I've said, we want to really get to know the student. And so we kind of created this video essay as a way to really like bring the application to life. I think, when you're reading an application, you're looking at a resume, of course, you're going to get a lot of information. But when the student comes up in a video, I mean, it really brings that kind of application to life. So for us, it is about introducing yourselves. I mean, I think, that's important, telling us a little bit more about yourself. Why the MBA? I think that's a really important question that students really should be able to answer. And then I think, definitely intertwining in there, kind of the why MBA also comes with like, what is that next step for you? And that's kind of where the short-term goals come in. So I think the 60 seconds can be, all of those things, really. I don't think it should be just focused on like, I want to work for XYZ company, but I think it should be more of your story. So, why the MBA? Why am I looking to come back to get an MBA? Why UCI? I mean, I think it's important to have done your research on our program and really kind of figure out like, yeah, I saw this and this really stood out to me. As you said, like to see yourself in an alum, that's the story, right? And I think it's important that you can articulate that. Also, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what is that end goal for you? So really kind of taking each component and kind of making it, I know 60 seconds seems really short, but really being able to kind of have kind of a 60-second elevator pitch in a sense. I mean, you're going to get asked. I mean, that's something you're going to do right away when you kind of start the program working with the career team. So this is kind of a little bit of a, rehearsal. So just really be yourself, tell us your story, be authentic in your why, and definitely, yeah, include kind of what that goal is for you. But again, I think, making sure that you kind of present your best self, that's all we're looking for. I mean, we want to kind of get to know you more and see, how you will be in the community and as a student. So I hope that answers that.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think, we could see a couple videos coming in that say, I was at this really amazing session with a few schools. I learned about the tech track and that's what I want to get into. And so,
Okay.
maybe that could be what we see. I don't know. Just could be a
I would
pro
love
tip.
that. I would love that. So yeah, that would be great.
All right, awesome. So thanks for all that advice. And Tom, we'll now turn to you at UCLA. What are your connections to LA, California, the larger region? Take it from there.
Yeah, we're pretty involved in the region. I was talking to a couple students yesterday, and they reminded me that next week is DOJ week, and that's always a big week. DOJ stands for Days on the Job. It's an opportunity for students to go out and, we basically take the entire week and plan all of these outings. And it's an opportunity for them to go meet up with alumni in their workplaces and then learn about potential jobs and companies that they want to be involved with. So, it's really great. It's an opportunity to kind of get that experience firsthand, to see the places where they might be working, to learn more about the company culture, and really just get a full week to dive into that. So, a lot of our students come out of that week feeling much more energized, much more interested in specific companies over others. And it's really just a great opportunity to learn more about what's available in the region. So that's the DOJ week coming up, and then kind of the flip side of that is our capstone project, which is something that all students will do typically in like winter and spring quarters of their second year. And for that, we do get involved with a lot of companies in the area. It could be, some of the same big companies that you've already heard about, or it can be smaller companies, startups. It could be nonprofits. So that's really a way for the students to give back and really get involved with different companies and organizations in the area.
Both sound like great opportunities. I like the DOJ, you said it was, right? DOJ
Yeah,
week.
DOJ week.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Sounds like some really good ways to get really deeply connected very quickly in the program. So, Tom, for your follow-up question, it's about your third essay, which is asking applicants to explain how they would hope to engage and contribute to the UCLA community. So, what do you suggest for them? How can they best learn about that community so they can answer that question? And at the same time, the other piece of this that we tend to hear about is, do you want people to really deep dive on one or two contributions or kind of really expand and list as many things as they're going to tackle while they're there as they can? What's your advice?
Yeah, my biggest advice that I always give prospective students is to think about the community that they want to be a part of. Whatever grad school you look at, whatever business school that you're thinking about attending, you're probably going to end up going to a really good school. We all have, great programs. Everyone on this call has a phenomenal program, different things that they specialize in, great career centers. You can tell from these pictures, we all have beautiful buildings on campus, so that's important. But really, what's going to separate the school that you go to is the community. So I always tell prospective students to talk to current students. Um, you know, in admissions, we're going to tell you all of the best things about the school, obviously. And, your opportunity to really learn more from an insider's perspective is to talk to students. So we make it easy for you on our website, all over the place. There's links where you can just click on it and say, connect with a student. That'll, just ask a quick couple questions about what you're interested in, what kind of areas of, industry that you're interested in, what are your topics that you want to specialize in, and then we'll connect you with a current student and, set up a quick intro for that. And then also we have a clubs and organizations page. There are over 40 different student-run clubs and organizations on campus. So basically anything that you're interested in, there's probably a club for that. Whether it's an identity club or an industry club or just an activity that you're interested in. We have a golf club, we have a wine club, in addition to the consulting club and the marketing club and the tech club and then all the different great identity clubs that we have. So, my suggestion is always just to talk to current students, get a feel for the community that you're going to be a part of, and then really try to picture yourself, as part of that community and how you're going to be involved. So that's why for our essay question, we ask, specifically, how do you want to be involved in the Anderson community? And it's really up to each individual to answer that, how they feel best exemplifies their experience. It's a lot like extracurriculars in your undergraduate. Some people will do 5 or 10 different extracurriculars and really spread themselves out, and then others will pick one or two and really focus and go deep on that. So, you have the same opportunity at Anderson. You can be involved in a lot of things, or you can be involved in a couple things and really go deep on it. So we really just ask that you think about that. And the best way to kind of talk about that in that essay is to do that research. Um, you know, Check out the clubs and associations page. I'll link to that right there. Talk to current students. See which clubs they get the most out of and which they enjoy the most. And then just kind of show that you've done that research, show that you are aware what clubs are available, how you can really apply yourself to the Anderson community, how you want to be involved. And then just, be honest, be open about it, and let us know what you're interested in. And that's usually the best way to answer that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it looks like there's many ways to gather up some possible responses for that question, right? Between the resources you provided. And I do like how you started the response there with, the fit kind of goes both ways, right? Like it's not just, I need to get an MBA, so I'm just going to pick a school because I found it on a website somewhere. It's like, there's some different things about these programs beyond some of the normal things that you kind of hear about. It's there's these little nuanced differences. And I think we've learned about a lot of those differences today between the five of you and all the different topics that we've covered. So yeah, find that fit. Make sure that you got to live with folks for 2 years, right? So you are back at school, you're back on a campus, you know, go do those things, make those connections, ask those questions. So thanks for that advice. And with the theme, if you haven't picked up on it, it was kind of like each of your applications has an area where you're trying to humanize folks, right? It's not just the test scores, it's not just what's on the resume, but it's also like what's a little bit more about the actual human who's applying to your programs. Unfortunately, we're going to flip that on you now in this lightning round where we're going to humanize the five of you and just get some quick responses. We'll have each of you do all three of these responses at the same time. And because everyone's been very patient, I'm going to flip the order, which I didn't tell you about. So, Tom, I'm going to have you actually start so you don't have to go last twice here. Hopefully that's fair for everybody. And sorry, Rebecca and Cindy, and that means you're going to be last. Yeah, okay. So, Tom, for you, something you love about living out west.
Yeah, honestly, it's the easiest answer, but it's true, the weather. I moved out to LA from Chicago, and I didn't realize how much of my energy and time was spent like thinking about the weather and adjusting to the weather. When you just come out here and it's 72 and sunny every day, it's one less thing to worry about. So that's pretty great.
When you get to this time of the year and you don't have to think about what you're wearing, that's kind of nice, right? Do I need a jacket, a pants, a raincoat, an umbrella, or a winter coat in Chicago, right? It's like you just show up in whatever
And
you got.
and in Chicago, you might need everything all in the same day.
Yes, you might need to just pack a bag and carry a suitcase. Yeah. Tom, favorite spot on campus?
On campus, just a little to the east of where Anderson is, we have a sculpture garden. And it's just this big kind of outdoor area where we have all these great sculptures and just a lot of room. I bring my puppy out there and we run around. It's just a really calm, beautiful part of campus, and it's a nice place to go and kind of refresh.
Sounds very peaceful. Maybe not as peaceful depending on your answer here. Beach or mountains?
Definitely beach.
Definitely beach. Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Which beach?
We're pretty close to Santa Monica Beach, so
Okay.
love just going right over there and it's not always getting into the sand, but definitely looking at it is very nice.
Yeah, and just the walks up and down the boardwalk. Awesome stuff. Cool. So, Lindsay, we'll go to you. Something you love about living out west.
I think I mentioned it earlier. I mean, the food. I mean, you can get anything you want, like authentic. And yes, California does have the best Mexican food and tacos. That is very true. And I just think, yeah, I mean, I love the diversity of food options we have. I mean, you can get barbecue, you can get Korean barbecue, you can get anything you want. But definitely, I mean, we're foodies over here. So for sure, that
This,
it was good to be able to just have a lot of options and really good ones at that. So
this was the one of these events we did not ask the food question, and now you still made me hungry. So I
oh,
appreciate that you
sorry.
brought it back. No, it's hey, you're answering the question, and that's good. Now I have to think about what I want. Favorite spot on campus?
Yeah, so UCI is interesting in that it is like all the buildings are in a circle. And then in the middle, we call it Ring Road. And it's basically this like beautiful grassy park. It's like all the buildings are around this beautiful grassy park area. And there's parts where you can just sit under like the trees and just literally have a very peaceful lunchtime or afternoon. But if you walk the Ring Road, because you can walk all the way around, obviously, it's 1.5 miles to walk like
Uh,
around the Ring Road. So sometimes when we need some steps after you've had a long day of, reviewing applications and you're like, I need to go walk. A few of us will gather and we'll say, let's just walk Ring Road. So it's a really pretty part of campus for sure.
or to burn off the tacos.
Or to burn
Um,
off the tacos from lunch, you are correct.
beach or mountains for you?
100 beach for sure.
Okay, and which one?
I mean, we have so many. I mean, Laguna
Yeah,
Beach, Dana Point, Newport Beach, they're all here. So
all good options. All right, over to Nancy. Something you love about living out west?
Yeah, I love the history of living out in the West, whether it's ghost towns or the gold rush or the indigenous people that have, originally lived on this land. People talk about the West being so young, and, historically, yes, in some ways it is. So yeah, I just love all the cool history out here. And I also really love living near so many protected lands, like the Monterey Bay Sanctuary. It's just amazing, just the things that only live and these creatures that only live in this bay. Also, the plants and redwood trees that are only indigenous to this part of the world, right here in Northern California. So those are some of the things that I love about living out west, is just the history and the unique things that you can only find here, growing here and living here. My favorite spot on campus, there are a few of them. Stanford University was started by the Stanford family, and the original farm that they lived on is still a living and working space on campus. So I love to go over to the farm area, the horse stables in particular, and hang out with some of the farm animals. I also love the Green Library. So these actually aren't at the GSB, but the Green Library, I love to go to the basement, because they have some very cool vintage video game machines and original Apple computers and things like that. And then I also like going up to the top floor to the library stacks, where it's just fun to get lost in physical books. So those are a couple of my favorite spots on campus. And I am definitely a mountains person, although I absolutely love beaches. And I think to
You
follow
can
up
pick
on my
both.
favorite mountain range, my favorite space is Sequoia National Park.
Makes sense. Very good stuff. And you can choose both. Listen, we're all, there's gray area here, so we're good to go. All right, awesome. Cindy, for you, living out west, what's your favorite thing?
Yes, I appreciate all of what Nancy said. I agree with the history part. Actually, one thing that I really love about here is going to live concert venues that are outdoors. There are many that are near where I live. The Greek Theater at UC Berkeley is actually right across the street from Haas. So they have some wonderful performances. It's a very historic venue. Downtown Oakland, the Fox Theater, another historical venue, which I really love going to. That's not outdoors, but I still wanted to mention it. And then my favorite spot on campus is actually right by the Campanile, which is right next to me. You can take the elevator up, and it has a beautiful view of all of Berkeley on a clear day. It's just beautiful. And then one thing that actually is related to the historical notion of it, you get this framed view of the Golden Gate Bridge, which actually was being built when they built the Campanile. And it was, the whole campus is kind of the way it's outlined, wasn't quite ready when they built that, but it kind of shows that history aspect of it. But I think it's a beautiful place to go and reflect. They have benches and grass, and it's right across from Doe Library, which is beautiful as well. And I would say, I'm going to say mountains, but I think it's going to be both, because I love going to Lake Tahoe, which it's in the mountains, but there is a beach there. So I love to go there and hang out.
There you go. I like the loophole you found. Good stuff. Rebecca, for you, same three. Something you love about living where you live.
Yeah, and I'll challenge Lindsay first too, because the Mexican food in Arizona is no joke. It is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, we got some battles today amongst
There are,
panel. I
yes,
like it.
yes. So I will agree with all of my colleagues as far as what they love about the West. Those are the things I love as well. What I would add to that is space. So I think even looking at just the vista perspective, I've been so lucky to be able to travel all over the world. But very few places do you have that ability to, I've stood above Berkeley and looked at at the San Francisco Bay, being on top of, looking at the Hollywood sign in LA, and in Arizona, just being able to just see mountains and cactus, and absolutely beautiful. So the huge vistas that you can get on the West Coast, I think, are pretty unmatched. Weather, food, culture, all those things. Absolutely. Yes. My favorite spot on campus. So ASU is huge. It's the largest public university in the US. So there's a ton of students all the time. It's very busy, but there is a little place that's probably a 5-10 minute walk from McCord Hall where our students go, which is called the Secret Garden. And you kind of have to you have to have somebody show you how to get there because you go under these little secret tunnels and it comes out to this really beautiful courtyard, which is surrounded by old by Arizona terms, so maybe 100, 150 years old buildings, but they've got really, really beautiful shrubbery there. Our campus at ASU is a certified arboretum, so there's a lot of different just kind of foliage and things that you can look at there, and it's just always quiet. It's a nice little escape. And I'm going to go with both. I would love ideally to be in the mountains with a beautiful view of the beach. That would be ideal. But especially, we call the Phoenix area the valley because we do sit in a valley of multiple small mountain ranges around us. So it's nice, even though you're in this desert city, that within less than an hour you can be in pine trees and you can be skiing and you can do all of those things as well. So yeah, I will cheat and pick both as well.
It's not cheating. It's just bending the rules.
I like it, Mike.
Right? Okay, we'll allow it. So thank you all for indulging us on some of those more, I guess, more personal questions. I mean, they're fun questions, right? But again, just humanizing each of you, because while you are the admissions folks who have to admit and deny, I mean, we're all humans at the same time, right? So we're trying to show that, we're all just people trying to help other people out and get into these great programs. So really appreciate the 5 of you today. I'll welcome you to go backstage for like a minute or so. We'll get breakouts started as soon as possible here. But thanks to the 5 of you for all of your great answers at today's session. And attendees, hang out for like another minute or so. I do want to give the panelists still like a little minute of rest between all the speaking so they can get another drink of water or whatever they may need to prep themselves for those breakouts once they begin. Some quick news about Clear Admit, and I'll open up all of our resource tabs all at the same time here, but we have a lot of great tools and advice and tips on the admissions process for these 5 schools, as well as many other top business schools around the globe. So if you want some help with your profile and which schools are a target for you, you should take a look at our free profile reviews that we do on our ApplyWire feed. The link for that is live right now. What you're looking at on the slide is our LiveWire feed, which is where you can get live admissions updates on actual applicants going through the process. If you are an actual applicant going through the process, you should be adding your results to our LiveWire feed to help pay it forward for future applicants to kind of see who's getting in, what those backgrounds look like, and the timing of when those results come out. Very, very helpful information for everybody. If you're in the interview process at these 5 schools or any other school that we cover on the site, we do have our interview advice columns based off of many, many years of working in the field. We have folks on our team who have worked in these admissions offices, as well as other ones around the country and around the globe, who have provided some great feedback, as well as user-generated content in the form of our interview archives, where actual interviewees at these top programs have given back, and they've given us information on what the interview is like, what the vibe is, what types of questions they received, what the interviewer knew about them before arriving, all important things that you would want to know if you're arriving at an interview, so check that out. And last but not least, if you cannot find any of this, but you can find one thing on our site, it should be our AI assistant. It's a brand new tool to help you navigate our site, as well as get you very quick and customized responses to your burning MBA questions. So feel free to check out that assistant. It is based off of a GPT model, off of all of our advice and columns over the years. So you can literally ask it anything about MBA admissions and you should get a really, really good response. So go test that out. Let us know what you think. With that, since we are running a little over, I do want to get I want to get to our breakouts a little faster than usual. So thanks for sticking it out with us today. We had a few more panelists than we did the last couple of events, but I wanted to make sure that we heard from them all. Really, really great advice today. 5 new schools, and we have 6 more schools tomorrow. So we will try to be more on time when we can, but it will be 6 schools tomorrow surrounding the Great Lakes of the US and Canada. So come back tomorrow for the last event in this series of 6. Again, appreciate you all. If this is your first time with us, or if you've been here for more than one event in the series, or even all 5, really appreciate you all for being here. The breakouts will open in a minute. If you are currently on a Zoom app, you'll be good to go. You'll see the breakouts in 1 second here. If you are not and you're joining this session via the browser on your Zoom account, you may need to log out and go back into the actual Zoom app, whether that is on your desktop, laptop, tablet, phone, whatever it may be, that's how you can access the breakouts. Okay. So with that, we will open up breakouts. Again, thank you all for being here. Hopefully we'll see you at a future event soon. Hopefully you enjoyed today's session, and thanks again.